Hi everyone, this is Sophia and welcome to Sew and Mow Productions. Tonight we are at 24 Fountain Street at the Fountain Street Church where Michael Moore, he's going to give a speech and he's going to talk about his book, Here Comes Trouble. So kick back and enjoy the show today and we'll be back with Mike. See you in a few.
But that wasn't a question.
Hey Mike, the burning question that I have, I'm an independent filmmaker too, and I think that when you put yourself out to the public, you get a certain amount of criticism, and when I write, direct, edit, and shoot, it's always in the back of my head. So how do you stay true to your artistic vision when you receive, the amount of criticism I get is minuscule compared to, I'm sure, some of the controversial stuff you put out. So how do you stay true to
I don't understand. What criticism?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm serious.
Okay.
What criticism for what?
Well, I think if you put something out there that's controversial, you have a lot of people.
What have I said that's controversial? 22 years ago I said that we better pay attention to General Motors because they're a Humpty Dumpty on the wall. And if we don't do something about it, this company's going to drag this whole state down the drain. Controversial? I made a movie about school shootings because I thought that was a bad idea. Controversial though, right? Yeah. No, you're right. Then I made a movie because I thought everybody should be able to see a doctor if they get sick and not have to worry about losing their home. Controversial. I'm a real radical. Then I had this absolutely crazy notion that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and this war we were going into was absolutely insane. I mean, documentaries should have a point of view. So. And the filmmaker should not try to pretend to be anything other than he or she is or isn't. And it's fair to the viewers, to the audience, for them to know where you're coming from. Then they can make up their mind. So I'm very upfront about who I am and what I believe in, and I make it very clear that the facts in my movies are all correct, 100% correct. In fact, the last three, I get so tired of dealing with the right wing on this. Last 3 films I put up a $10,000 reward if you could find a single fact that's wrong in these movies. Now, the opinions in the films are mine, and they may or may not be right. I think they're right because they're my opinions, but I might not be right. I might be wrong. My opinion is I think everybody should be able to have a health care card. I could be wrong. My opinion is that I don't think you should have to worry about sending your kids to school and having them be shot. That's just my opinion. My opinion is that George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and Don Rumsfeld are war criminals. And history will wonder why they weren't put on trial for what they did, because there really is no greater crime in any country or society than leading the nation to war based on a lie. I mean, really, what is a worse crime to lead a whole nation into war, thousands of your own die, tens of thousands of people there die, all because, why? You wanted to be the war president, in his words, upset about daddy issues, oil? I don't know, what was it? What was it? And what do you tell the parents of the dead? So, anyways, don't get me worked up. I gotta save it for out there.
Do you believe coming from Michigan has had a significant impact on your political perspective?
Yes, absolutely, of course, and especially from Flint. Yes. I think that, I don't know what, on a lot of levels. I mean, I think because, I grew up in a union family, and my uncle was in the sit-down strike that founded the UAW. So I grew up in that kind of environment. But also, I think being from Michigan is something very special too, because this is a very, very interesting state, full of creative people, full of artistic people historically, full of inventors. When you think of the stuff that Michigan has given the world, Henry Ford. We put the world on wheels and destroyed the planet by doing that at the same time, but that's a minor issue. The world didn't eat breakfast before we invented it from Battle Creek. Thomas Edison grew up in Port Huron. A lot of people don't know that here in Michigan. Grew up in Port Huron. And Berry Gordy, Motown. I mean, you could go through a whole musical thing here in the state. You know, I think that this is a state of inventors and creative people, and in all the arts, including film, and not just me. Considered the first documentary filmmaker is from the UP. His name was Robert Flaherty. He made a documentary called Nanook of the North back in the 20s. The first animated filmmaker before Disney was a guy named Winsor McKay, who was from this side of the state, over here toward Muskegon. And we're honoring him at our film festival next week. So you've got two huge genres of filmmaking, documentary and animation, that were founded by people from this state. Ken Burns is from Ann Arbor. Francis Ford Coppola is from Detroit. You know, I mean, I could go on and on. So it's, you know, I'm just one of a number of people that have been fortunate enough to have been born here and grew up here.
So are you going to make another movie now?
I don't know. I said I wasn't at the last movie because I was so tired of making these movies and just banging my head against the wall. You know, it's nothing ever seems to get done. Nothing happens, and so I wrapped the crime scene tape around the New York Stock Exchange, and I pulled the Brinks truck up to the Goldman Sachs to get the money back, and then I just turned to the camera and I said at the end of the movie, "That's it. I'm out of here. If you guys want to get up, turn American Idol off, get up off the couch, and get out and do something, I'll join you. I'll come back and I'll make more movies. But if not, then I'm not. I don't want to waste my time doing this. I got other things I want to do." And then, so, you know, the Occupy Wall Street happened last fall, and I thought that was really too soon for people to rise up. Because I was enjoying my vacation. So yes, I am going to make another film. Yes, the answer is yes. And I'm already in the...
Dare I ask what?
Oh, no, yeah, I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry.
Top secret. You look my way for 2 seconds.
Okay.
So do you think there's a collective tipping point in this country for fear?
Well, I think we've passed it. I mean, I think that's really been our problem, is that we're a very frightened country, and those in power have learned how to manipulate us with this fear. They know the buttons to push, and they know that they can have us get completely unglued, sometimes over the smallest of things. It won't look small. It makes it look very big, but... So I think that, you know, I would hope that people just find some courage within themselves and realize that they're getting duped.
Well, it seems to me that if we've reached it, are we just turtles laying on our back like this? Or when are we actually going to flip ourselves over?
I don't know when that'll happen. You can't really predict when that'll happen. I never thought in my lifetime I'd see the Berlin Wall come down. I never thought in my lifetime that Nelson Mandela would be out of prison, let alone president of South Africa. So if you'd asked me those things, to say about 25, 30 years ago, I would have like, what? You know, and most people my age would say the same thing, right? You'd see the end of the Soviet Union in our lifetime or any of that stuff, right? So I'm convinced now that anything can happen, and it happens sometimes when you least expect it. You can't really plan it, can't really organize it. It just kind of happens. The will of the people just rises up, and it happens, and it will. I mean, I'm an optimist. I mean, it will happen. I do believe that. I do believe sooner or later the people will have had enough and realize that they've been lied to extensively. So.
I have a question, Michael. Welcome back, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
I'm curious about the role of comedy, though, in maybe promoting social change. You, in your first films, Roger Me, there was a lot of comedy in it, even though it's a very serious subject.
Yeah.
Things that we could laugh at. Do you see comedy as being a vehicle, though, in some way? And I'm not asking about your future project, but sometimes humor is a great way to take something, you know, get the medicine down.
Well, I'm a big believer in that. I mean, I think that I try to encourage more political people to use humor, because I think it's such a powerful tool and weapon for the good, because it can really slay dragons. I mean, it really ridicule when done correctly, not the kind of junior high school stuff, but I mean, really showing just how crazy it is. To say that Saddam Hussein had something to do with 9/11, or, you know, I mean, pick anything. That stuff, you can't, if you enter into a debate about that, that's where we lose, because like you're debating with a crazy person. You know, it's like if you've ever had if you have an alcoholic in your family, you know, you cannot reason with them while they're drunk. You know, and you say, hey, you really shouldn't drink so much. You know, it's like, no, you cannot. They have to be not drunk in order to have a rational conversation. So I think with a lot of this stuff, a lot of this crazy stuff, Obama's a Muslim. 19% of Republicans believe he may be the Antichrist. I think that was what the word was in the poll. You know, you can't. How do you have you don't want to debate that. You want to ridicule it, and you want everybody else who hears that to realize just how ridiculous that is, and that they shouldn't subscribe to that kind of thinking because they will be ostracized by the rest of us. If you're going to tell us that Adam and Eve wrote on dinosaurs 6,000 years ago, then you must expect a volley of nonviolent ridicule and satire and whatever means, you know, but you can use comedy for it.
And we see that in programs like
Most of the left though has lost their sense of humor and doesn't use this. I don't understand why that is, but you know, we need to get it back.
We're too PC, isn't it? We don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think that's part of it, and I think part of it too is that we're so worried that we're going to see the collapse of everything in our lifetime, and it's so frightening. It's hard to laugh, you know. It's I remember when I came here. When was I here? In like 2004, winter, 2003, 2004, somewhere. 04. Oh my God! People after almost 4 years of Bush, people were just. I remember that day in the church, people were just beside themselves, you know. I don't think people feel that way that they felt in 04 right now, but they will if they are saying the words President Romney come January, which I think everyone should start practicing.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's the optimist in me speaking, by the way. Yeah. I'm serious. I'm not... that poll that yesterday about the lack of enthusiasm amongst Democrats and people who voted for Obama was stunning. People are going to show up and vote for him. You know, I'm going to vote for him, you're going to vote for him. But last time, me personally, went on Saturday afternoons and worked phone banks. I went door to door. I went in, this time I was just reading Springsteen's interview in the New Yorker. He was pretty much saying the same thing. I'm going to vote for him. But I'm not going out and do those concerts and do all that stuff, because which is a weird thing, because you don't want Romney to win, but on the other hand, you're really disappointed in this guy that you elected, who said he was going to do X, Y, and Z, and spent the first 3 years trying to compromise with the Republicans and give them what they wanted so he can get along with them. And only now is he started to sound like he should sound. But that's just sounding like it. We needed him to actually do something. We had both the House and the Senate at one point. It was just, so that's why people aren't excited. They're not really motivated, They'll go vote for him, but they're not going to bring 5 people with them, and that's why he may lose because of that. The other side, seriously, they would. On my TV show 10 years ago, I ran a ficus plant for Congress because I just believe that if people had a choice against that or this Republican that was in Congress in New Jersey, they would actually vote for the tree. And I think that you've got at least 45% of people on the other side who will vote for whoever the name is on the ballot. Just put any name there, it doesn't matter. That's why they were all number one in the polls during the primaries. Kane was number one, then McCain was number one, not McCain, the Gingrich. They were each ahead at one point because people didn't really care. Whoever was ahead, okay, I'll go for them. Anybody but this guy. So, and they will, it was, Romney going there to speak to NAACP a couple weeks ago. People thinking, well, geez, why did he do that, and that looks so bad, and he was booed. No. That's the strategy. That's the strategy. To show that part of America. Look at these black people booing him. You need to, we still have a huge race problem in this country, and that is going to get manipulated a lot in the next few months in order to get out the vote on the other side. So, what time is it getting to be?
6:59.
Oh, geez, we got to go, guys.